Yep.
Okay, so how do you feel and what is it you want to get out of today?
I'm feeling great. What I want to take away today is the path or the way to understand more the ethos of a business and the way to to, to create it. I mean the process or something like that.
Okay, so ethos and process. Okay, no worries. We can talk about it.
Kelly, how do you feel, and what do you want to take away today?
Well, I feel very intrigued by your, I guess you call it a mandala behind you, yeah?
Yeah.
I feel intrigued by that, and I feel intrigued by, you know, the stuff that you're talking about now, because it's really pretty obvious that the ethos is important. And most people talk about culture.
Okay.
And to me, it's like when I look at it, I think it's really easy to say I'm going to create a culture versus what is my ethos and what is the ethos of the business. So
Okay.
I think that that's very interesting that we're there looking at this now. So anyway. What is it in terms of, and I'm quite interested to just keep watching your development. So it pleases me to watch that. Okay, so what is it like when you say ethos and process? What is it that you want it for? Why do you choose ethos and process?
Well, ethos because we are well in the past of the Victor's business was just uh, like uh, children were painting and having fun, but now I think we are different from that, and I think we need to really look at what are the ethos of the business, because it is something really important, I think, because because it says what we are and what we believe in, what we are in business.
Okay, so when I look at ethos, and really I'm one of the few people that talk about ethos.
Yeah.
And ethos, inside of me, there's this spirit or this character.
Yeah.
Okay. Outside of me, I express it through in my ethos, through who I am. And so when you're looking at this, you're really talking about, and if we look at it, a business, and then we talk about an individual.
Okay.
And so it's impossible for your business not to follow the individual, right? And so when you look at it, you say in the past, Victor. And what's happening is that as you and Victor are coming together, you're creating an ethos for the business, right?
Yes.
And so it's a matter of you two coming together and saying what's important for me, and then what's important for him.
Yeah.
Right. And so you guys will have different characters that drive you as individuals.
Yes.
And so you've got to bring that together. If you're working together to create this business, whatever the business is, and it's got to be a reflection of that, right?
Yes.
And so how do you and Victor get on? You get on pretty well?
Yes.
You're very similar?
Pretty similar. I, I think we are similar enough.
But you're similar yet different.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you see as the same, and what do you see as different?
Well, the same is our passion for business, our passion for creating an asset. The difference is he's the creative man for developing, the products, the colors, all that, and I am like the strategist, like the businessman.
Okay, and so when you're saying that you're similar in that you're passionate, that you want to create an asset. So what does asset mean to you? What does the word asset mean to you?
Something we can develop, something we can sell, something we can franchise, something that could be intergenerational.
Okay. So I don't have all my files with me. I'm on a portable computer.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to show you what I personally would do in this case. And so I'll give you a cancel. Let's see what I need to do here. I want to get a drawing board.
Okay.
I'm on one of my portable laptops, and it doesn't have anything in the files. So just take a second.
Yep.
So with what you're doing, the process, okay, can you still hear me, Angel? Can you still hear me?
Yes, but the audio is like cutting.
Yeah, it's the hotel that I'm staying at's got poor internet.
A little
So
bit.
yes, it's not you this time, it's me.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get this up. And you're
Maybe if I turn off the video.
yeah, you can try that. I don't think it's going to make much difference. I did a call yesterday, and it worked okay. We got there in the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I've got this screen. You can see my screen, okay? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the thing that I'd be looking at to create this idea of an ethos, right?
Yeah.
And you can see this big circle.
Yes.
Now, in the outer circle, you've got this boundary of what you want to create, right?
Yes.
And as you know with me, there's always going to be an inner circle.
Yeah.
And the thing that's going to drive you is this idea. Oh God. Let me do it again. What's going to drive you is this idea that you have this boundary of who you are, and you're wanting to really, and I'll just see if I can get it. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now you have this thing, and the problem that we got, Angel, in my view, is that people don't realize that they have this inner me that drives them, and they have this outer me that absolutely people see, and they allow people to see, right?
Yeah.
And the question is, do you have a choice on what you want people to see?
Yes.
So when you're starting to look at it, it comes out and it pushes against this boundary, right?
Yes.
And if words are our leading calibrator, so we've got this thing in the middle that's pushing us,
Yeah.
right? And really we want to get to what it is that we truly believe, right? So we're pushing this boundary all the time.
Yeah.
I'll send you, I draw, and the way I draw it, and I'm just not really good at it right now, the way I draw it comes a shield. You
Yeah.
see how you could turn that into a shield?
Yes.
Okay. Now on each one of these points here, you'll write a word. And in the first word, the first thing that I would do is I would say best. I want to be the best.
Yes.
Right? So my first word at the top of it would be best. Right? And then what I would do is I would describe what best means to me. You
Okay.
understand?
Yes.
But my other thing is down the bottom of this shield, I'd have better. Why would I have better?
Because better means like we are constantly doing better things.
Yeah, I'm going to give it the best to mean at this moment, best equals my capability right now. So on my shield, I would say, I'm going to be the best I can be right now, no matter what that is. You see, people talk about winning and losing. I don't see that winning and losing works in a business. I see whatever I do, I have to be my very best right now. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now, better equals the future capability, right? And so as I'm looking at my future capability, now you become the strategist. Now you become the person, and I might have something here that says, I always, oh, come on. You can see I'm not used to the keyboard. I always am my best knowing I have to get better. You understand now?
Yes.
And so that's my ethos. That really is what I'm about. And
Okay.
so when I look at that, that might really be in the heart of it. You understand?
Yes.
That might be right there. Hang on. I'm always my best knowing I must be better. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's that's my driving force, because what I'm saying to you is that at some moment I must get better. So
Yeah.
you can see what I've done there. Best, better. So right now to the future, and then I make a statement in the middle of my shield that says, I'm always my best knowing I can get better. Now, what I might put here as a word, and I know for me personally, I would use the word quality, right? And then I would say what quality means to me. Do you understand my point?
Yes.
See this other one here? I would put standard. And what I would do is I would define what a standard is to me. Now, what am I
Okay.
doing?
Defining.
Using words, I'm defining exactly what my character is.
Okay.
And now down here, I'd have rules,
Yeah.
right? And the reason why I do this is because these are important to me. Now, this is a business ethos, right?
Yeah.
So then I'll have quality, standard, rules, and then I might say discipline. I gotta stop doing that. What is my discipline? You understand?
Yeah.
And then in my world, I would want to have the word focus. Do you understand what I'm doing?
Yes.
So these are my words, right? And I'd be putting them right where my arrows are. And around, so I'd have a shield. See, very similar to what Poncho's done.
Yes.
Because what I believe in is symbols. What symbols will drive me? Now,
To
the thing that
focus.
I would do is I would use, and I've spelt the word quality wrong, so that's handy, isn't it? But you get my point. That
Yes.
what I'm doing is I'm looking at it Oh God, this freaking. What I'm doing is I'm defining in words
The
the what it is, and really right here is the heart of what you're talking about.
yeah,
You understand my point?
yes,
Right here becomes the heart.
yeah,
It's what's driving me outwards. It's the energy I'm putting into it. And
yeah,
what I'm looking at to create an ethos is I'm looking at pushing on my boundaries. But when I'm doing it in such a way that is very clear. And so you're wanting to build a culture. You're wanting to build a way of being, right? You build that from the culture of who you are, but you better know who you are. And remember,
yeah,
our formula is words, numbers, symbols, focus, right?
yes,
And so now what I'm doing is I'm using words and I'm using an image to hold, just like that thing behind you is supposed to hold space.
yeah.
Now, the thing that you need to really understand, now, do I care what the color is?
No.
But you
Well,
do.
yes, yes, yes.
You care what the color is. Right now, I don't. I'm using two different colors. And
Yeah,
really, what you're doing is you're pumping out who you are. And you're using these key words to say, you know, our business has a quality about it. We have a standard about it. We have rules around what we do, and we're disciplined. We have
yeah,
a focus. We do margin. We do value. We do profit. That's who we are. That's our beating heart. You understand my point?
yes,
Okay. Now, one of the keys that you've got to understand, and a lot of people don't understand, it's like you have leaders, you have managers, right? And then as a business owner, you have to be a leader, right? And a manager. Do you understand my point?
yes,
So in your business, you have people that lead, like you have a lawyer, he becomes a leader in that area. You
yes.
have a human resource person, they become leaders in that area. Now, all of a sudden, how do you manage them?
By enforcing rules.
Yeah, well, you can say by enforcing rules, but you know, everyone says, okay, well, we're going to do those rules. What do rules mean to you? You see, the reason why you have rules is so you can do ever more with ever less.
Yeah,
You know, just like this idea, I would never, not ever, put somebody handling the money on the first day.
yeah,
Because if you have someone handling money on the first day, one, you know they're going to make a mistake, and you know that that if they make a mistake, it could be very costly. And in this term, in terms like this, people left you.
yeah,
So you set out these things and you say, this is who we are. This is like this shield. This is my ethos shield.
okay,
Now, you might have an individual one, and Victor might have an individual one, but you've got to bring it together and make it the company one because you're the leaders and you're the managers, and together you're leader managers,
yeah,
right? And you don't know when to lead and you don't know when to manage. That's the problem, really, isn't it?
yes,
In each other's way.
yeah,
And then you start duplicating resource. You see, there's
yes,
sometimes when you understand this, Sometimes you have to lead. Sometimes you have to follow. And sometimes you have to just get out of the way. You understand you understand that?
Yeah.
And that's what that's where the problem is, right? When do you
Yeah.
lead as a strategist? When do you lead as a creator? When do you follow as a leader? And when do you follow as a strategist? You've got to get your ego out of the way.
Yeah.
Us does not have ego. It just has understanding.
Yeah.
You understand my point?
Yes.
So do you think that it's important that you have definition?
Yep.
And so when you define it, if you, obviously you would do this circle here would be right on the edge of this circle here.
Yeah.
Not the way I've done it. I'm just not able to do it with the tools I have. And then what I do is I know that in communication, I know that we communicate with words and intention and everything else. But I know I have to define my words. So the process is I've got to know that I've got this energy that's pumping out into a space, right? And we know that in the boundaries of that space, we know we're always pushing the boundaries, right?
Yeah.
That's why when I say pushing the boundaries, I don't push the boundaries like it's typical American to push the boundaries of, oh, you're a winner or you're a loser. Right? That's how they push the boundaries of their reality. Win-win, win-lose, lose-lose, stuff like that. That's how they push the boundary, right?
Yep.
Because we're educators, Angel, we have to put the boundary on design. And when we look at the design of somebody, we say, right now, you have this capability. And Raphael tells me that in Spanish, they're now starting to differentiate between the word capability, right? So we have this ability, right? That's what we can do right now. But the future actually goes to capacity. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And in English, they're very distinct, but they interchange them, but they're not the same. So when you're looking at this thing, you've got this capability. And so you can improve capability, but you're not going to improve your capacity. Your capacity is already there.
Yeah. It's limited.
Well, it's who we are. It's limited by this design.
Yeah.
And this physical design is very different from this mental design, this mind design. And so you'll reach the boundaries of your physical capability before you'll reach the boundaries of your mental capacity.
Okay.
Right? And that's what you have to understand. We have them both. We have a capability and we have a capacity. Your capability is always pushing on the boundary of your capacity. That's why I'm saying that best has to go to better. It goes, I'm giving you my best today, knowing tomorrow I can be better.
Yeah.
That makes sense to you?
Yes.
And so instead of saying, oh, I won today and I'm going to lose tomorrow, that's a very zero-sum game. And you wouldn't be in education if you didn't think you could get better tomorrow. You understand my point?
Yeah.
And so when you look at the simplicity of the drawing that I've got versus the drawing behind you, if you look at the drawing behind you, just have a look at it. Because, you know, fundamentally, I taught Pancho how to draw that.
Yeah.
Okay? And what he's done is he's got this outer boundary. And don't forget that you're going to have these boundaries, and you're pushing these boundaries all the time. And you think, oh, I've broken through this boundary. No, you've increased capability that leads you to believe you're through the boundary. You understand? That's the very
Yes.
nature of who we are. That's the very nature of this design. And so when you're talking about the ethos, your ethos is not going to change. Your ethos is who you are. It's the character of this beingness. That's why you have to really
Yeah.
say, this is who I am. And so what I've done is I've given you who I am, the words that are important to me: best, better, quality, standard, and rules. I know if a business isn't of high quality, and quality will be measured by your standards, right? And the two of them come together as rules, right? What rules do I put in place to reflect my quality and standard? And then the question is, am I disciplined?
Yeah.
Right? I cannot, in my business, I cannot move forward without understanding I have a quality and I have a standard and I have an enforcement of that through rules. And then I have discipline. And I don't try to put that on people. That's who I am.
Yeah.
Right? That's my ethos. That's who my character is. Now, am I true to it? Some days
Yes.
my quality is not so good, and I realize that, and I know it has to get better. Sometimes my standards are not high enough. So I say I've got to push the boundary of my standards. And sometimes my rules will change. But it doesn't, my inner drive doesn't change, Angel. My inner drive is my
Yeah.
inner drive. It's who I am. That's your ethos.
Okay.
Understand? It's pumping
Yes.
out from this center of my being,
Yeah.
like a beat.
Yeah.
And so you have this space, and then all of a sudden you're saying, I'm going to push this space. I'm going to push this space. And all that happens is your space gets greater, but your words don't change.
Yeah.
So as you're pushing the space, you really are the same person. It's because Fuller would say we come to this planet with an a priori, which means we're already programmed at an energy level. And in that energy level, we're looking at how do we pump it out so people can see our ethos. Our ethos
Yes.
is who we are. Your
Yes.
business, it is who you are. Just hang on a second, Angel. I've got to blow my nose.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I'm just waking up, Angel, so I haven't blown my nose yet this morning.
Yeah. No problem.
That's what happens to old men or older men. So you're getting a sense of what I'm saying?
Yes. I remember. I have an image when you were here, when we were with the travel company.
Yeah.
We were developing this in some level.
Yeah, because you have to know your leaders and managers. It's the whole business comes into their ethos. It's not each person in your business has their own who I am.
Yeah.
And together you build a culture.
Yeah.
And so as you build the culture, you're really looking at how do you hold that culture tight? And so a lot of people say, oh, this is our culture, but they don't know who they are.
Yeah.
They don't know what drives them. And so you've got to see the key things that drive you. And so when you can start to see what I've done, these things push on the boundaries of my reality.
Yeah.
And as they push on the bound, it doesn't necessarily change who I am. I came here as who I am. I'm a driven person,
Yes.
right? And then we get sidetracked. We get sidetracked and say, oh, this is about money, right? No, it's about making money.
Yeah.
And the distinction that I make that most people don't make, I say my distinction about making money is employees make money, but they're slaves to the money. People that are designing business create money,
Yeah.
and they're not slaves to money. They become part of their ethos, who they are, who they absolutely are.
Yeah.
And then you go into a creative mode. So even as a strategist, you create ideas, right? And then you make those ideas work.
Yeah.
And in the moment that they start working, money starts to appear through creation, not by saying, oh, I worked for an hour, I made money in that hour. And you can say, no, in that hour, you created the space for money to appear.
Yeah.
Business owner. But as a employee, you say, oh, I made this amount of money in that time. And when you make that amount of money in that time, the thing that really it comes down to is that you are a slave to the making of the money, right? And as a slave, you need to be directed. You understand my point now?
Yes.
You have to be very, very clear about who you are. Now, as you've heard me say it many times, if you're going to be a drug lord, be the best drug lord. I don't judge what people do per se. I judge who they are
Yeah.
and who they radiate. And
Yeah.
your ethos radiates. And most times people have lost who they are. And what you have to decide is, who am I?
Yeah.
And in business is quite easy. You say, oh, here's a leader, here's a manager. And between this leader and manager, you've always got this idea. And this idea is, as you do it in English, it's going to be, what is my role?
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
Now, the question is, how well do you play your role?
Exactly.
And now you have to realize that sometimes you have a role as a leader, and sometimes you have a role as a manager,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes you're both a leader and a manager. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's the complexity of it, Angel. So what is your role? And when you go into a room, and my thing is, I always want people to be their best. So I don't want to get in their way. I don't want to create victims. And most people create victims. You understand?
Not at all.
What's that?
Not at all.
Okay. So let me ask you, that mandala behind you, or Pancho's drawing.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
And you need to rely on Pancho to understand that drawing.
Yes.
Complex. So what he does is he creates a victim to the drawing.
Okay.
So you always need him to interpret the drawing because it's so
Yeah.
complex.
Yeah.
And so you're always, oh, I need Pancho. But what he's creating there is a victim because it's too complex. He doesn't want to create that. What you want to create is someone that always gives their best in their role. So for you, that drawing behind you is probably not that complex, but you show that drawing to your business and they'll blank out on you. Just like it's taken you years to understand me, right? And Pancho years to understand me, but he's still complex. So if you imagine culturally and culturally in Mexico, you guys have come from a race where drawings are very important, right? You can see it by all the stuff of all your tribal stuff.
Yeah.
And so the reason why I create a shield, or I'm trying to draw a shield here, is because in that moment, I want to be tribal.
Okay.
And so I'm bringing my group together as a tribe. And this is the shield that we come behind because the symbols are really very important.
Okay.
You understand my point?
Yes.
And I don't try to complicate it by saying, oh, and there's this and there's this. I put the words and then I define the words. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
And so as you do this, you're constantly looking at what is the thing that's going to drive the capability of your business. So if you imagine now, the words in my business, they're not words that I'd necessarily use, although I probably would use. In a business, I'm going to have margin.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm going to say, okay, this is an important word in our business. Right? And then I define what is a margin. And then I'm going to definitely say, I'm going to have added value. Okay, so can you see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And now when you're training the process, you're actually creating the shield.
Yes.
Right? And then I'm going to go down here, I'm going to go profit. But profit to me is not the same as what it is when a lot of people speak about profit. Profit to me is something that's left over.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's money, whether it's sales, whatever it is, I'm going to profit by it because it's left over. Now you can see what I've done with my shield.
Yeah.
At the top of my shield, I'm always going to be my best.
Yeah.
So I say to people, just be your best. And then you define, can I get better?
Yeah.
So my top and the bottom of my shield is that way. And then around one side, I'm going to have quality, standard, rules, discipline. On the other side, I'm going to have focus, margin, value, and profit. Can you see what I've done?
Yes.
And then I'm going to make it, I'm going to talk to Victor and I'm going to say, we've got to stylize this. This has got to be our internal ethos. Now can you build a culture? You understand?
Yep.
That's why I think it's important to understand who I am first. Because right at the center of this, and when you're dealing with children, do you want to teach them to be winners and losers, or do you want to teach them our design always looks to do our best and get better through our capability? What would you rather teach?
That would be the best and get better.
Okay, now you might have in your culture, you might have fun as part of your culture.
Yes.
You understand? You might have, you know, in my thing, one of the most important words I'd have is education, not training, education.
Absolutely.
Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, going around this, I might have right up here, I'd have another arrow up here, and I would stylize it. And the whole thing would be education, because it doesn't matter whether you're selling or what it is, we're always educating somebody. And you know what my absolute thing is, and my thing is, we always teach each other.
Yeah.
Right? And we know that if we're going to do this, we have our ethos is what we go to our tribe with, and this is what builds our character, which builds our culture.
Yeah.
That's why you start with ethos first and then go to culture.
Yeah.
Right? And what you and Victor have got to do is understand your ethos.
Yes.
Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you have any comments, any questions?
No, it's pretty clear.
It's pretty simple too. The process is simple, isn't it?
Yes.
And what you need to do is really look at yourself and say, because as it gets complex, now you're going to get to just let me stop sharing for a second, and now I'm going to share again. And I'll work off this. I'll work off this now. What you're really looking at, Angel, is the fact that whether we like it or not, come on, why aren't you doing this document? Oh, it's going into there. Let's see. I just happen to have this on this computer. You see this now?
Yeah.
I want to learn. I want to gain knowledge, right? I want to lead. I want to influence, and I want to empower.
Yeah.
And I know that I've got emotions, and my emotions are going to move towards something or move away from something.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is we're building this culture of what it is that we want to do, right?
Yeah.
And so when we start to look at it, you can see I always use 4. Influence,
Yes.
social, economic capabilities. I'm going to move towards or I'm going to move away. But it's easy for me to do that because I set up this platform and then I get into the complexity of it. You understand my point?
Yeah.
And so now, as I do this, I'm constantly looking at how do I become better at what I'm doing? Always.
Okay.
Now, the thing that the point I was going to make as I was starting to get into this, let's see if I can get the screen so you can see it better. The point that I was going to make, okay, I'll see if it'll allow me to insert something. What do I need to do here? Zoom slideshow, okay. For some reason, my bloody computer's playing up. What I'm wanting to do, okay, now we go. Okay, what you have to do, Angel, is always understand that there's 4, right? So we're going to say that there's 4 boundaries that we're always dealing with. So I don't know. I'm going to change the color of that, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at this, You're always, if you're dealing with four, there's always four things that are going to go on. And that's just the way I've taught you to think, right?
Yeah.
So as we do this, we start to look at it and say, there's always these four that creates a system, and the system will create the process. So we're always looking at this four. You understand? It's hard to see, and I'll see if I can get the colors to change now. Okay. Oh, I know why it's doing it. Here we go. I just didn't have the button access to me, right?
Yeah, if you right click, you can, well, it is the shape field.
Yeah, now you see?
Yep.
Okay, so we're always looking at the boundaries of each one of these. And so now when we go on this one, you see?
Yes.
That creates a tetrahedron. That creates the thing that you want.
Yep.
You understand my point?
Yes.
So in our shield, we make it duality. This is who I am, and this is the boundary of it. But inside, but outside this is the boundary of the world, the biosphere. So if you look at it, this inner one's you as the individual, and then you've got all the environment, and then you're always looking to pump it out. They all create the boundaries, right?
Yeah.
That's why you get to the drawing behind you. You understand?
Yes.
The drawing behind, you can't start with the drawing behind you. You just got to know that there's these inner boundaries that are governed by your environment. This might be the country, this might be the biosphere.
Yeah.
Do you understand my point? So you can talk about your business and your ethos and your culture all you want, but you live in Mexico, and in Mexico, children are quite important. A lot more important than in the United States per se, even though that sounds strange. The Americans have lost their ideals around their family. Mexico has not. You understand my point?
Yes.
The more they become the individual, like if you look at U.S., it's about I do, I this, I that, and there's no duality in I. Do you understand my point?
Yes.
Just all about me. And so what you're doing, and when you start to look at that, you want to go beyond yourself. That's what you're building in your business and your culture and everything else. But to get beyond you, you better know who you are. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I recorded this for you too, by the way.
Thank you.
And so I'll send that. That way I don't have to write too much. You can correct my spelling, but I've misspelled everything anyway because it's not Spanish.
Yeah.
All right. So Angel, is there any other questions that you have for me?
No, it's all.
It's pretty simple, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, what are the things you have to remember?
The things I have to, I think is the shield that we are creating bit from the spirit of of me and the business, and also for Victor. We are pushing boundaries through our words, and that will create the the profit, the margin, cash flow, and at the end the assets.
Yes. Yeah. right? And you've got to embrace the difference, but you've got to understand the sameness,
Yeah.
right? And as you do that, and that's a lot of thing that goes on. You've got to surrender the warrior. You're not in war. You're designing for a future that doesn't need a fight. You don't need to win or lose.
Yeah.
What it is about design, and you can choose your design. The real thing that each one of us has got to come to terms with is we have choice. You can choose to be part of something, or you can choose not to. The point is, the struggle becomes is all about the choices you're making. You get my point?
Yes.
And so stop struggling about it, although you're never going to stop struggling. That's what we do.
Yeah.
You know, we're always in this struggle to become better. We're always pushing the boundaries of our capabilities, but you'll never get past your capacity. Your ethos is about your capacity, right? And then you're designing to your capability and your capacity. You know that it's going to get better, right? Because when you focus on something, focus is determined by choice. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Well, I will get this ready and I'll send it to you by YouTube. And so you'll have this and then you can see it. But I really do apologize for the ineptness of the drawing. But whatever the shield can be circular, it can be square, it can be whatever you want it to be. But it's got to be who you are, not who I am. And the other side of it, if you want to change something, you always change it by communication. And your communication now becomes the words you're using and the symbols you're using, right? And then you can measure it through your numbers. Like, is it working? Isn't it? That's part of your quality. But you're still not going to get around. To me, I've had to come to terms. I'm not driven by money, Angel. Right? But business has to have money. One of the things that I really truly understand about myself is you'll never drive me trying to say, oh, you'd be a millionaire or a billionaire. You'll never drive me doing that. But I do understand you have to have money to create what you want to create. But I'm not driven by it. I'm driven by the idea that I can be my best today and better tomorrow.
Okay.
Right? And if that involves money. Because we have an exchange world. We're always exchanging something for something else, right? And in our world, especially right now, is about money.
Yeah.
And whether we like it or not, it's about money. A business really is about its profitability, its margin. I can't stand it when people talk to me about gross profits and everything else. Who gives a shit? What I care about is, did I make a margin? Was there enough margin to make a profit in money? And did I add value? You understand?